again. I sat down, played guitar, set up the camera, started recording, and I never clicked the record button on the phone. So I don't know. I think I got through the whole thing before I realized it. The screen goes black on the phone, and then I go, I forgot. Okay. So I have a funny story this morning. So I'm a software engineer, and I currently work for a company um, that I'm in this weird position that I'm kind of in the center of two separate companies. So there's one company, the company that hired me, that's we'll call it an antiquated old business model that have taken software, tried to bolt software on top to make it more of a modern company. Lots of companies do this when their industry is dying and it's been replaced by something digital. They try to see which parts they can pull in to make it profitable again or to keep it profitable, whatever. And then there's another company that's an agency, and they were born out of that company, which is pretty common. So these people used to work for that company, got mad, whatever, and decided we're going to start this other thing, and then we will contract through you so we can continue to build or work on the software that we built for your company. Yada 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 yada. Happens a lot. Developers want freedom, so they create an agency and then work out a deal where they have a contracting agreement. They make more money, they have more freedom, and they don't have to deal with the corporate stuff. Okay. So about a year ago, I was hired as a lead software developer, and I was supposed to bridge that gap. So I was supposed to come in, work for the antiquated company, and relieve the agency for the most part. Like it'll never go away, but bring a lot of that work kind of in-house. And I quickly realized that I was in between two different companies. One, the agency, which we played well together, but we weren't really friends. We saw things differently. They didn't really like how I did things, and I asked a lot of questions about how they did things. We just came from different backgrounds, and for whatever reason, that didn't gel well. And then the other company is more corporate, and I didn't really work for them either. I kind of worked in between. Like they paid me, but I worked with the agency. I know it's weird and complicated. I never been in a situation like that. So fast forward, I just keep trucking along, and then every month, the corporate company sends out this memo of the birthdays of the month and the work anniversaries of the month. And my birthday's coming up, and I started last year on my birthday. So my work anniversary and my birthday are the same day. And just to see, my first name is Gerald, and my middle name is Scott. So I was curious if they used Scott or Gerald. So I went and I looked under the birthdays, and I wasn't listed, and I thought that was odd. Oh, well, all right. So I went and I looked under the work anniversaries. I wasn't listed there either. And I'm like, wow, I'm like invisible. Like I truly am in between two companies, and neither one of them want me. So it's a bit odd. I um, I recalled a situation about a month, or maybe 2 months ago, where I was involved in this chat for the corporate side, and somebody was trying to the product, the VP of product, the product owner, or whatever, someone that I've worked with for a year, was trying to forward me this email or include me in this thread or whatever, and could not, for the life of her, do it because she didn't know my name. She didn't know who I was. She knew Scott, but she didn't know my last name was. She didn't know anything about me. Now, we've been in calls together at least once a week for a year where my name is visibly on the screen. This is Scott Radcliffe. And we were actually on an offsite together. We spent like 3 days together in person in the same room because we do work remotely. In person in the same room. We went we had food together. We had drinks together. and still just not I guess, not important enough to learn what my actual name was. Not only not important enough to learn what my actual name was, not important enough to even acknowledge me. And I thought that was crazy. I've never seen that before. Usually, corporate companies really go a long way to include people, unless you're me, I guess. But that's cool. I don't care. I'd like to try and experiment and see if I just stop showing up and just play guitar instead, if they would continue to pay me. They don't know I'm there. They don't know who I am. And I still get a check. So maybe they'll just keep paying me and I don't have to do anything. It might be kind of cool. I won't do that, but it would be kind of cool. Okay. Tonight have a church night thing at church, which will be fun. We play more songs than we typically would play. Get a bit more freedom to do more things musically. We've been adding more complex songs to what we play, and the church has been digging it, so that's cool. They just have funky chord progressions and borrowed chords, and sometimes a modal interchange or something, funky rhythms. So that's fun. Usually, you're not sure if the church is going to like those because, they're not always easy to sing to because they change around so much, but they do. So I'm grateful for that. So that'll be fun. So we're doing that tonight. What I was doing in the beginning, this is what I want to talk about. What I was doing in the beginning was kind of an exercise in chord inversions. So when I first started learning chord inversions, I learned your basic 2, which is first and second inversion. First inversion, you put the 3 in the bass, the third. And the second inversion, you put the 5th in the bass. But I would encounter chords that had different things, like they might have the 2 in the bass, a 6 in the bass, a 7 in the bass. So I thought a good way to learn those and to learn like really kind of funky ways to play chords was to just take a chord and go right on through the scale and change the bass note around, and see what you can do. So that's kind of what I was doing. That's the 1 in the bass. It's a 2 in the bass. And you can pick up the high side of that. That's a cool sound. The 3 in the bass. But from your cage system, you can do the same thing. You can. 4. That's a cool sound. So I started playing around with that. You can put the 7, the 5 in the bass, which is pretty. That's your standard. Or you can do. Then your 6, so you could do your major 6, which is or then your 7. And then from there, you can pull out chunks of chords by switching. And then right there you see it's part of the scale. And you could play around and you get some wild stuff. So this would be, it's essentially a sus4, right? But this C is also the 5th of this F, so this is really a 4 chord. This is also sus4, so you get different voices of the same thing. That's a C over F. It's also an F sus2. So you start to connect different chords inside of chords when you start moving things around. So that's a cool exercise. So if you're new to chord inversions, I would, that's something you can try. You can just move the bass note around till you get cool stuff. This is, if you go play any Beatles tunes, they loved different variations of the same chord. You can literally write a song, one chord, switching the voicing of that chord around, different bass notes or different extensions. Obviously, that's where like the seventh, C7, the dominant seventh string. And in jazz is also where they get like shell chords. At any rate, I could babble on about that, but that's it. Um, cool chord inversion thing to learn chord inversions and come up with your own flavor of chords. I mean, I swap chords out all the time if I think an inversion sounds better. Um, it's so progression is one progression is this, right, and then the five. So we're in A, 5, 6, 4. But in some parts of that song, I like if I hit the first inversion of that E, then this sounds a little better to me because this is essentially a sus2 of the F sharp. So it's there's voice leading there. So actually, I'm analyzing this as I'm talking about it. So actually, when you're doing the A to here, you're walking right down the scale, and that's why it sounds good. So you could do this A, this inversion, and then I guess this. But I stick with this, or this. That's the buzzing. I mentioned it in the first non-recorded video, but not in this one. This guitar needs a setup really bad. So that's the buzzing you hear. So anyway, explore, play with chords, come up with voices you like, and then learn how to like put them in at the right moment to bring a chord to life, to make it sound better. That's it. Enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.